Hello there and welcome. It's time for another Star Wars Shatterpoint Battle Report commentary. This time it's the second game of our 3-round tournament in March at Magic Stronghold game store in Vancouver, BC. And this video will be featuring Mark on the left with his core Mando list, while Vuk on the right will be playing a Republic list that almost looks similar to a kind of a starting releases, but Ahsoka, who was a promo but is now available through Plo Koon's box, has been swapped in for Commander Cody, and the Republic Commandos have been swapped in for the 212th. But this will be a good game for newer players, especially that have picked up the core box, as we have 3 of the 4 squads from the core box happening here, with the addition of Obi-wan from his box, of course, Ahsoka either through Promo or Plo's box, and Republic Commandos coming from Luminara's box. But that could very much be the 212th from Kenobi's box as well. Now, another thing you'll notice, which happens often, people like to switch the secondaries, which supports they're with, because Gar Saxon likes his long range shots, just like the Clan Kreese Mandalorians do, while Bo-Katan has a protection and steadfast bubble that she gives off for Mandalorians that are contesting objectives, and so she wants to be moving up into the fight where she can give off that bubble. It's only range 3, and then the Super Commandos are the more melee focused Mandalorians, so they are also happy to move up. So keeping Bo and those Super Commandos together makes a lot of sense, while the Clan Kreese and Gar Saxon can hang back a little more to take their long range shots. Now we have Ahsoka and Maul as the primaries, and those are the primaries that came with those squads, and they don't have a lot of kind of external synergy. They can kind of work with anyone, and so you'll sometimes see other primaries that can work with anyone swapped in there, such as Luminara, but I've also seen some other choices there as well. So it looks like they're going to be playing on shifting priorities, and they've got the one that zigzags, not the plus, starting from the bottom left on Mark's side, and then the 3 in the middle are always active, and the top right on Vuk's side. So it looks like Mark has drawn Gar Saxon, so we'll see if he ends up reserving or going ahead with him. And I'll also mention that Mark's Mandalorian squad or strike team has 6 force points, but of course Maul can use damage instead, while the Republic squad has 7, with Anakin bringing 1 more force point and 1 less squad point. So Gar Saxon has a tactic ability allowing him to give another allied Mandalorian character a jump, and that's a global ability, no range on that. And so, right, I was remembering it now. Giving one of them a jump is helpful for when Gar Saxon moves himself, because then there's a Mandalorian to potentially be within range two, so that he can get his focus from Mandalorians Are Stronger Together. But he's gone with moving Bo-Katan up, and so it looks like he's taken his move action, and he's just going to do a take cover to get hunkered and hide a little bit behind that building, or just, oh, I see, he's moving up slightly so that when he uses his jetpack, he can get up right where he wants to on that middle objective, and hunkered. So he'll be a little hard to displace with that tower behind him, and he takes control of 2 objectives.
What's the thing? I pay a power and I can just reshuffle it in?
So you pay power, you take your next card and you shuffle Shatterpoint back in.
And you have to go to the next card. You can't reserve it.
So he's picked the Shatterpoint. He doesn't want to go with that yet. Probably planning to put the Shatterpoints into Anakin. And definitely not ready to go with Anakin yet.
I don't need this, I don't need this, and oh good, half my pool is gone and I haven't done anything yet.
So before you shuffle it back into the deck, you pick the next card, because otherwise there's a possibility of you picking the Shatterpoint again, which is not the intention. If he decides to kind of reserve it.
Especially with Anakin, you want to save before Anakin.
Yeah, I know. I feel like it'll neuter me this whole round.
Still not a great pull, but better.
So yeah, he picks Obi-Wan, which is also not a great draw off the Shatterpoint, because he does have to go with the next card, and Obi-Wan likes someone to already be in reserve, so that he can use patience to be put in reserve, put that other card either on the bottom or top of the order deck, and then get his recovers, which don't matter too much in the first round, but then a jump to get a little further into the board. Now there is a ladder kind of to the first level around where he just moved Obi-Wan, but looks like he won't be using that. He's just going to be using the hello there jump in order to get up to the highest elevation. Probably in order to try to do a melee attack on Gar Saxon.
It's like either I was a rough pull. Yeah, either I get. Well, I can't take that from you, right? Or only stop you from scoring.
You can't even stop me from scoring because I already possess it.
Because you already possess it.
So you need 2 guys on it, or you need to push me off and pull me off.
So I almost need to attack you. So I can't attack you and get the point.
Yeah.
So either way, you're keeping it.
Yeah. So it's an alternative plan. It's either you're getting set up for a later steal, or you're trying to set yourself up on another point.
So it sounds like he might not be able to jump up close enough to be contesting that point, while also being able to attack Gar Saxon in a way that allows him to push him off. So it looks like instead he's going to see if he can make it to that bottom center point, just to at least
come on the top
get control of one other point on this turn.
You want to get up there. But if you can't, at least you're scoring a point this turn.
Yeah, I think I should be able to if I, because if I take the hunker,
Yes, you got it there.
Right, so
and then I spend
similar to Mark's turn, taking the move action and then the take cover action. Oop. There we go, a little rebalancing happening there. Then that allows him to get close enough to use the jump to actually get onto the proper elevation. So he will get 2 points, which he will actually score.
Not the best pool yet. No. At least you got another point.
But that will be a difficult point for Mark to get with Obi-Wan already on there and hunkered. Not sure who he pulled there, but he immediately reserved them and moved on to Bo-Katan. So Bo-Katan also having the Pride of Mandalore tactic ability to move another Mandalorian.
He seems pretty self-sustained though. Like he doesn't really need anything around him.
He does not. That's why they tend to work well together, I find.
Giving a jump to Mandalorian Super Commando. And is he going to take the Ingress point? Get him a little extra distance on that move. Alright, so taking the move action with Bo-Katan. Again, not having a Mandalorian within 2 for the focus, which also kind of combos into an extra dash and recovers, but doesn't really need that because she's not going to get in range to do an attack. Her range attack is range 4 instead of range 5, and she doesn't need that extra distance really to get to that point, although maybe could have used the ingress point and gotten the dash from the focus and not have to spend that force point for the jetpack.
I mean, he really makes the most sense, I think.
That's what I usually find. I don't play them, but it seems to be the Anakin player gets more use out of the free moves.
So Anakin sees his target. I assume that Rex was pulled in order to give him a dash.
So for her, I almost feel like I need to.
Then we're gonna double damage it a pin.
Yeah, probably looking at that center point since Obi-Wan already has the bottom middle point. However, he just has one more dash to use, so it'll have to... oh, this is Ahsoka going, I see, right. I haven't played her. So she can also give Anakin the dash, but luckily she has the jump from She is Fearless, so she can just jump up there.
Yeah, I guess I'll just slap him for 7.
Makes sense to me.
And that'll get rid of Gar Saxon's Hunker, and she will attack him with 7 dice. He has a defense of 4, but good expertise.
So how many? 3 blocks?
3 blocks total.
So 2.
And then
So then I will.
with 6 because of Kwan.
That's a push, right?
That's shove, yeah.
And then that's a jump for me. 2 damage and a
I've
shove.
got 2 hits
Three wedged in there.
with 2 expertise, which
So what would it
gives
be?
damage right off the bat.
Off that, eh?
Yeah,
And
you
then
when I'm touching them.
Yeah, so taking the top track, 2 damage, a shove, and a jump. Shove happens first, so she doesn't really have a good angle for shoving him off of that point, or even out of the corner that he's against. But he'll take the jump and get a little better positioned, I guess, for maybe trying to shove him off at a later point.
And did I wound them? Right? Okay, I wound them, so I get a Q.
I pull.
I take
I increase.
So, so that will be. Sorry, Mark got 3, and then we've got 2 back just there. So now Mark is going, gets Clan Kreese. So they have jetpack, like all of the Mandalorians do. They're going to do that first before doing their move action, and probably planning to move in to attack Obi-Wan and take that point just from number of bodies. However, Obi-Wan will not lose his hunker token because of his innate ability, which allows him to gain and keep hunker tokens even while engaged. And then in melee, he will also get an extra die on his defense.
Out of range with melee, and the other one's melee. So I still got an action left. I'm gonna focus for any of my movement next to each other. He's gonna shoot Obi.
Okay.
That is sharpshooter.
So the back one is going to shoot first because they have sharpshooters, so that focus will give them 2 dice instead of just 1
Gain a hunker.
on top of the 6 base.
If you have any fails, you take 3
Right, Vuk is going to use So Uncivilized, pay a force, add another hunker token. So that'll be adding more dice to this ranged defense. And then if Mark rolls any fails, then he will suffer 3 damage.
And then I change one of your crits to a fail.
How many blocks you got? Alright, so block everything.
So as happens sometimes, Obi-Wan blocks that attack entirely.
The other guy does a melee attack.
And does 3 damage back, assuming there was a fail. And now the next one will go for a melee attack, but this will be 6 dice because it's base 5 plus only 1.
Why would you ever want to go into this Form 3?
Some of them, a lot of the two-sided ones have like a clear favorite. I don't know.
Well, usually like one's more offensive, one's more defensive, but like his offensive side is defensive as well. Yeah. So it's like
Probably.
yeah, which I'm not gonna.
This is melee to start.
Yeah.
That becomes 2 crits.
And one of your crits goes to a fail.
So only my crit goes to. Yeah, I only have 1.
Okay.
After one to a fail. So that is a shove and a damage. No.
So getting the getting 1 success through, which will be enough here to get that shove 1 damage but most importantly, the shove in order to get him off of the building, off the proper elevation, and therefore, yeah, doing the follow up and making sure he has the one Mandalorian in range at the right elevation.
One to heal, and then I get to dash,
So
which doesn't really help me, does it?
Obi-Wan using his knowledge and defense to get rid of,
I also get
um,
extra dice for these too.
kind of pay a hunger token in order to do a recover and dash. However, it's actually supposed to be removing all of the hunkers. You can't just choose one out of two. You'd have to shed all of the hunker tokens when using that ability. But in this case, just removing the one and doing one recover. The dash doesn't get him back up on that building because there is no ingress point to that building. So Mark will be getting 4 points on that one, so good turn for him.
I'm gonna like spend all my force doing it.
I think Vuk has gotten the Shatterpoint again, so now that Skywalker has gotten a dash, he's now close enough to do a move action and probably a force jump to get into attack or engagement range on Bo-Katan.
Jump over top of you. Okay.
Now I do have steadfast and protection.
Okay. So I really gotta
hammer.
put some work in.
Yep. You got enough to do a second attack. I think you can eat two.
So we'll see which form he uses.
Yeah, that would be all of it.
Yeah.
Well, let's see how this goes first.
I got 3 bolts.
8 damage. 2 hits. 2 expertise, which is 2 more crits.
Okay, so he's going for his Gemso side.
2, 4, 6, 8.
Oh, I didn't see the other one.
I got 2 fails there. So you block 2?
Block 3.
3. Yeah, crit.
Yeah.
So he's getting
4.
4 steps. Okay. Now, Bo-Katan
8 damage.
gives herself
Okay.
steadfast and protection.
And arrow, whatever the fuck.
That's a pin and a strain. So I've only got
So
1 health.
I believe she has 8 health. He's doing 8 damage from the tree plus strain and pin. So because the protection, it'll be 1 less, doing only 7 damage, leaving her at 1 health. Now this is where, if he went with the Form 5 Shen side, he could be getting multiple shoves to easily push her off the point and flip it. But he's obviously going, was hoping
Yeah, I should have Shatterpointed Obi, I think.
for the wound in order to get that.
Is she gone now?
This is where the fun begins, where, because if it was the secondary unit, he'd get to move the struggle token 1 more space towards his momentum.
You guys got to do 2 damage. She's got protection 1.
Yeah.
No point in moving. So he gets 6 in melee, 7
I'm gonna leave it.
Leave it?
I'm gonna leave it. So I get 1.
2 or 1?
But I get 1 of these, right?
So not spending the force to I'm gonna end this. So I'm getting 1 point and momentum for not crossing 0. Now Mark has picked Ahsoka, who is much more defensive than being an offensive figure. So we'll see which spot, which objective he decides to solidify with her high defense. So again, taking the move and cover action. And yeah, not spending the extra force for speed. Just sitting on the back point, middle point, ready for the next struggle because he's already getting 4 points. So Clone Commando is going next.
Yeah, just one. Is this model or unit? Or character unit?
It says character.
Yeah, so one.
With the ability and the oh well.
Oh,
It's better
or
to stay on a point.
is this Rex?
You're so mobile.
Is Anakin killing people?
He stopped short by one. He didn't want to spend his last 2 force to finish him.
I mean, it's expensive.
Last match, this was a hot spot. Yeah. We played the 6-8 this way. We had like
I like your snips though. That's very pretty.
So it says Rex. He's just given a dash to the Clone Commando and Hunker. And then taking an advance himself. And it looks like he'll be taking a shot at Bo-Katan. Rex does have a good amount of shoves right off the hop there. There we go, on the bottom track. So, hoping to push her off points that Anakin can claim it, or at least do just the 1 damage in order to wound her, I guess is probably what we're shooting for here.
1, 2, 4 damage.
Alright, there you go. So she is now wounded.
Yeah, so top track, 4 damage, getting that wound, and flipping the point for
So I get
2.
No, it was
Just pure damage?
I mean, I could have because I needed. Oh, I guess I could have done bottom trade, right?
Yeah.
Because that's only 2 damage, and you block the first one, right?
Yep.
Okay, maybe I'll do that.
Right, taking the bottom track, still getting the 1 damage through, but also 1 shove if he wants. He'll get 2 points, a momentum for not crossing a 0.
If I can make you have to pay force to like jump back up.
No. Because even going straight to the closest.
Yeah, so she'll still stay up there, but can at least shove her sideways a bit.
I guess it doesn't really matter then. Fuck it. Yeah, so I get 1 for wounding you.
Before that happens,
Okay.
I react.
Ah, yes.
Moves towards
Ahsoka
Okay.
gets her advance. Oh, and because Rex is on the ground, close enough, she can advance in order to make a 5 dice attack on him.
and then it's your score.
Okay, so I get 1 for wounding you.
Yeah.
Right? So then I get 1, 2. 1, 2, and then another 1 because I didn't. Because you're still winning, right?
That's right. Still on my side.
Alright. Is that something?
Maybe just doing the recover. But no one really to recover there, I don't think. So yes, it was Maul in reserve. So we're deciding to go with Maul. He needs 3 points and a wound, or 4 points. So, moving up to the ingress point. And do an attack on Anakin, I'm sure. Here, we'll see if he throws him off. Yeah. using the range through 3, measuring for that. There's no place to run.
Take 2 damage to pull Anakin 2 towards me.
Right, so he's gonna take 2 damage instead of pinging the force. Oh, not pull him off the building, but pull him into engagement, so that he can roll some extra, or a extra die on this melee attack.
Use my force speed to go to a ladder instead. So I wasn't thinking I was going to get that close to you.
I'm not doing the
Alright, so I'll
BTs
just punch in the
because
face.
that's gonna cost us
So
damage
it's
to me.
6 dice for me.
May dash.
So staying on Sinister Cunning,
So we are going to have
potentially getting that shove and reposition.
1 extra dash. Turns into a crit hit. Crit damage.
have
So just the one. I got 4. So 1 damage, right? Automatically.
1 damage automatically. And it's going to be 3 damage and a shove.
So only 1 success getting through. So,
3 damage total.
but 1 damage from the expertise. So that'll get 3 damage through, and the shove to get him off the building and a little more out of position.
Take an extra damage for force speed.
And then he's going to jump up to get that, jump forward to get that 4th point in order to claim this struggle. Looks like it's gonna be the sideways triangles
This one's under nobody. That one's me.
ones.
You might control that, or you can easily control that.
So the middle, they're the middle, top, and bottom are both marked.
Let's do the bottom one.
But the top left is Mark's, the top right is
The
Vuk's. While the bottom left and right are currently nobody's. So going with, yeah, probably trying not to have the one with Maul active, and also having his 501st be able to claim that back one, although they have a possibility of being flipped. But he could maybe reserve them if he has the force to go with the commandos instead, and try and get that bottom middle point. But this does allow him to go try and get 2 objectives.
Probably just gonna go
This
ham.
activation, and the back top one for him is priority, which is nice.
Shatterpoint and my Superman
So luckily he is able to go with the commandos. However,
Unfortunately, we have no more foil promotional products.
they do not have a shove, so they'll be looking to get a wound. And Obi-Wan would be close enough to claim that objective. They will need to get, well, they might only need to get 4 damage through if they took 3 on Obi-Wan's so uncivilized reactive there.
say that Anakin was supposed to be exposed. It all ended the way I wanted.
You want me to put it on right now?
No, because it would have come off during that attack.
Oh, okay.
Because when he pulls you, he exposes you.
I got you.
I forgot all about it.
Okay. You guys are both within range there, right?
Yeah, they were. I'm pretty sure that's what we decided. Yeah.
So if I get both of them up there, would I steal it from you because I have the him at the bottom? So
No,
it's 3?
it's kind of like in MCP when you get a wounded or an injured model, they don't count. So if they're on the same level, they count. If they're on different levels, they're nullified. So you could tie, and then I won't gain control of that thing this turn.
Oh.
So it just stays neutral. So it's still valuable to do that. So when you pull Obi, he can jump up there, steal it, or you can
Right, so he does have a force for defensive maneuver, and since they have scale, they can climb instead of dash. So we can tie that point, and then no one will claim that objective. However, because they climbed instead of dashed, they don't actually get the hunker, because if any characters dash, they gain a hunker. But both of them converted them to climbs.
Yeah, it was one back here, so So they got one from doing that, but they already had the one from get a move on soldier.
When they activate, they lose the hunters.
Oh, do they? Okay,
Yeah, that's the only time they lose it.
good turn.
So they had a hunker from get a move on soldier from Rex, but that is lost when they activate.
So I get
But after defensive maneuver,
3 points.
well, yeah, they shouldn't have got one because of the climb, but yeah, we're counting that one. I probably would have had done the ranged attacks first, unless, oh, maybe they did the take cover action again as their second, in order to get close enough to do that climb. Not able to do the attack, so Vuk gets 2 points. And so Mark, rolling fail, so that's good for him. I assume he should already control that objective, because it is counted for everybody, not just the active player. And that Mandalorian's probably within 2, although you might have to remeasure that just in case. He has pulled the Shatterpoint now, so we'll see what he wants to do with that. I would say if he doesn't have that back point, then Bo-Katan would be a good option, because she's currently wounded. She will give a Mandalorian a jump and be able to go steal the top right point from the 501st, because she could jump. There's also an ingress point to there, so she could get to the proper elevation for that objective. Gar is another option there. He's not wounded yet, so his jump only costs 1 force instead of 2. Okay, he wants to shoot. He wants to be shooting at the commandos, it looks like, to get that point. I would maybe go for the easy steal on that back one, and he could even potentially get the wound on the 501st there. But he does have a lot of people on kind of the top side of the board from our angle. Right, but he is moving within 2 of Mandalorian in order to get his focus and sharpshooter 2, so that'll be 3 extra dice on the attack. They don't benefit from their cover, and he will get a hunker.
Take cover isn't a move action. So So then this guy he will fall back
Yeah.
like that,
So one.
and then she'll do a take cover for a hunter.
So there's going to be.
So to try to shoot her.
So I have protection and steadfast.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about steadfast.
I scored
So released.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to take 1 damage and nothing else.
Yeah.
I can.
Only getting
Closer if I want. With the
one
shadow.
success through. Not a great roll for Gur there. So one success, which would be 2 damage, but
That one's mine.
commandos have protection.
Goes to 0. We both get a momentum.
So that'll just be 2 points for Mark. It'll hit 0,
Okay.
which will give them both a momentum.
Anakin.
See, and that's where going for that top right point would have been a more guaranteed flip. Ideally, he could have gotten in range for that attack.
What else do I have left? Clone troopers.
And push the commando off or something, leaving the clan Kreese to claim that point, and then going up for that one. But Gar doesn't have enough movement for that, even with Mandalorians nearby for him to focus. Looks like we're getting Anakin's turn now. As the previous one was the Shatterpoint when he activated. So jumping up to take on that Super Commando. The priority is the one that's tied at the bottom. So no chance of really getting over there.
2 expertise turns 2 to 2 more blocks. So 3 blocks.
So just the 2 crits.
So 2 getting through.
5 damage.
Still on Form 5 Gemso. So getting 5 damage out of 8.
And I don't have enough to bash again.
So not enough force left for the second attack. That objective will be tied. So that'll just be 1 point.
That's mine. Sorry.
What? I pull Super Mandos because that's all that's left.
Yep.
I will make a move.
Again, that's where maybe the Shen side would be good. One shove would get them off that. However, they're about to activate again anyway and would get it from numbers. But you'd at least get the extra point on your turn. So they're both going to jump in. That'll get them a focus, which will get them impact 1 for 8 dice on each of these melee attacks.
Becomes 1 crit.
And then your crit goes to a regular hit.
How many blocks?
3.
You're good. So then the second guy does that. A little short.
So it looks like nothing went through on that first attack.
One crit goes to a hit.
How many blocks?
4.
So 1 crit goes through. Yep.
So 1 success will be 2 damage on Anakin. But he will solidify that point from the tie. But just get 1 as well, because not keeping the priority. Both get a momentum, hitting 0 again. So the priority is that tied one again.
Man, I wonder if I can get. Oh, I don't think so, eh?
So yeah, it will be, unfortunately, the Fio first last. They're already holding that back point, but he can't reserve them. They're the last one in his deck.
And then they come across. But they're going to be set up for another turn, but not this time.
You only have defensive maneuver and a move action, so definitely not enough to be crossing the board there. Not enough ingress points to be getting extra movement out of. So looks like they'll be moving forward, at least to do some damage. Hopefully. Maybe condition. Using their defensive maneuver to get them their hunker.
If you're just gonna plug people, you might as well focus.
Focus and then shoot into.
Focusing and aiming at Maul, it looks like.
Does Maul have deflect?
He does not. He has the melee counter deck.
Okay, so we'll go into Maul.
Makes sense.
So take a couple shots at Maul, who's already damaged himself a little bit.
So does only one of them get the extra dice for focus, or do they both?
Three fails, 3 balls.
We're not a fan of Maul.
Looks like some crits there, which is good.
4 crits.
Yeah, so I block the one regular one, 4 crits.
So they get the broken arrow.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. And they'll get 2 damage.
Okay.
Then they'll get
Strength.
yeah. And then they'll do another damage, and then we'll do a reposition.
Okay, so you guys can move. One of them.
Right, so the reposition is helpful for their movement.
Yeah, I guess.
Wouldn't expect that out of this attack, but got lucky there. We'll see what he wants to do with that reposition. But doing 3 damage and pin and strain, so that is a bit of a nasty combination for Maul, because I mean, depending how close Maul is to his stamina, the pin stunts his movement, and then doing an action or something to get rid of the pin could set off the strain, doing more damage to him, making it harder for him to use damage instead of force to do his abilities.
Yeah, because I'm clear, so you could push me.
Either shove you or do another damage with the extra.
Yep, that brings me 1 away then, so you just need to do 1 more damage.
Okay, I'll do that then. So another damage, and then another damage, and another reposition.
Move it now.
Same result again. It looks like
Fair enough.
Do that melee.
he's either gonna have Maul 1 away
They both popped.
Did you want to shove it?
or wounded.
No shove, because I went the other way for the extra damage.
Yes, he is wounding Maul because it was a ranged attack.
Getting ahead of yourself against Snips?
Yep.
Oh, were they within 3 when I did that?
Because it was a ranged attack, Maul doesn't get to do a revenge attack. Ahsoka will, though, but
So after an allied Galactic Republic's putting it within 3 makes a combat action. So probably before they move, right?
yeah, I think Mark's Ahsoka
Yeah.
should do her revenge move and attack first
You could run into her and then
before Padawan Ahsoka gets to do her reactive, because I think he gets wounded before the combat action ends,
Then she gets to
but it probably won't matter.
and then make a 5 dice attack.
Now, the other thing is,
She seems very scary.
with Ahsoka, Padawan Ahsoka getting a jump and the 5 dice attack, it does have to target one of the same enemy characters. So it does technically have to be an attack on Maul, because that's the only target only character that they targeted.
Then I get to move Ahsoka.
But yeah, I guess she can jump in any direction. The the attack is a May if she was engaged with him.
Dice into the pile first.
So jumping over towards that tide objective. Now primary Ahsoka on Mark's side will run up to attack the 501st.
Three. Which is 2 damage.
Getting 1 success for 2 damage.
You got your momentum already.
Yep, I did my momentum and I score 1.
So scoring just the 1
Yeah, we did.
again.
Roll again.
Fortunately, priority is staying on that tide objective. And it is again.
Roll Super Mandos.
Mark's picked Super Commandos. Probably going to reserve them, because if they leave, then Anakin will take that point that they're on.
I'll spend a force to reserve them. Clan Crease, who are actually useful.
And getting Clan Kreese, that's much better, because they're already on the point. He just needs to shove one of those clones out of range.
This one into there. So 6 dice.
Melee, right?
Yep.
So doing a focus and melee attack. Now, hopefully remembering that Obi-Wan is down below, because they'll have to shove around him. And then the second one won't be able to do a ranged attack into that same character. So
So we got 3 successes. The shove won't matter against you, so I'm gonna do.
So he's going to dash.
5 damage and a pin.
So 4 damage and a pin?
Yeah, did you get protection?
getting so 5 damage and pin. 5 damage and pin.
This one and up.
Not sure how that's happening.
Oh, sorry, broken arrow? Yeah. And what's that one do?
Next time they take a move action, they don't move, they lose token.
Okay.
But the second one won't move, the other one will. So 2 fails. 3 plus 6. Lots. 2 go through.
You have to do 1.
Unless he was maybe looking at. No. Yeah, maybe looking at Bo-Katan accidentally. That's a common mistake that happens.
Well, I guess how much damage did you do total?
I can do 3 or 4.
Either way, it's enough.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do 3 in a jump.
What happens?
And I will
Yeah. Yeah, he's looking at Bo-Katan's attack tree.
just jump in. Kind of see if I can fit.
Oh. Fortunately, it sounded like he had the right amount of dice, but
So then I'm
sometimes if you're trying to move quickly, it can be easy to look at the wrong stance card on that. But he does get the wound. And so that will get him the point for 3.
So Anakin is there.
And priority of moving to that back point of Mark's. So Commandos he picked and will reserve, even though they are on a point that he does not have. But luckily he did draw into Anakin, who is on the point that is priority. So lucky draw there. And hopefully at this point he can do the damage to wound them. No benefits as their supporting unit, but get should be able to get that priority objective for 3 points.
So 7 damage and a bleed.
Yes, 7 damage and strain. So
And there's support though, right?
as long as they had 1 damage on them already, which they definitely did, he gets the wound there.
You get your momentum first. Yeah. Ahsoka can react.
Right, Ahsoka will react to that wound. But I don't think, even if she can get to that ladder, I don't think she can get up on the building close enough to tie up that objective. So yeah, moving and probably going to take some conditions off of Maul. Yeah. So he will get the 3 points. Supermando's gonna become injured instead of wounded, meaning that they'll contest again, and from the number of bodies, they will be able to flip that point, unfortunately. But Vuk was kind of locked into needing Anakin to go there and flip that point for that priority objective.
I should have switched to his other form. You're sure? Yeah.
So, into that turn, flipping into the defensive form for extra dice and better expertise.
If one of your crits goes to a regular hit.
That I can't really shove you anywhere.
So block 5. So 1.
2 crits go through.
No, I did that for free.
Oh,
So 2 steps getting through. 3 damage either way.
I've got 6 health left.
Their disarm or strain.
I will give you 3 damage and a hit, or sorry, a strain.
3 damage and strain.
Which one's the strain?
Blood. That's the one basically you.
Probably a good plan there because he has just activated, so
So the second one, the short guy.
not likely to be attacking for a little while. And we'll see if the second attack is able to do that last 3 damage.
The crit goes to a hit.
Block 3. Alright, so 2 go through. So it will be. You got what? 3 left?
3 left, yeah.
Alright, so it's 3 damage and a disarm. The broken gun.
So yeah, 3 damage and disarm, getting that wound on Anakin.
So get a momentum for the wound.
And so that will definitely flip that point. Get him 3 again.
Nope.
Not that I know of.
Put that back. Score 3. 2, 3.
Unfortunate roll for Vuk there. Being the back point again. It'd be nice if it was that bottom middle point so that he could activate his commandos and have them wound the clan Kreese and take that point. It's really, I mean, Rex can get over there, maybe shove, well, even if he shoves one of the commandos off and is able to take the ingress point up, he would still only be tying the point. So he'd have to get a wound on them, which I don't think he can even do 8 damage. Yeah, he caps out at 7. So, yeah, he did get Rex. But, yeah, he's not going to be able to flip that point. Trying to use, or he is using, got to move on soldier on himself because he can choose just a character, well, a character in the unit or another allied Galactic Republic character.
But I just need to, like, if I do the take cover, then I just need to get up there to take it over, right? Because you guys are injured, or that doesn't matter.
No, that doesn't matter. He's wounded, so he doesn't count. You're not going to be able to steal either one unless you can just off them and come up. And they're at 0, so they get the
Yeah, so realizing that getting up to that point is not going to be enough to flip it.
He's back to back. He wounded them, they came back.
I guess I don't need to do that thing first, right?
Yeah, that's start. Yeah, it starts before anything else.
At the start. I'm just wondering if it's better to go this way and cut in.
Yeah, maybe. Then you can light him up too. So what? Because you could also climb if you get up there.
So he is going to take the dash and hunker. Is he going for the advance? Sounded like he was going to maybe try to do the climb. And then use his defensive maneuver dash to at least be at the right elevation. Or he's still attempting to get to that ingress point, maybe. So that he can be up there and then dash. The other problem is that he is engaged with Ahsoka, so he can't actually shoot at them either to try and follow up for some extra movement there.
But then I still have to kill them to take the point.
We'll start with the Sopranos.
So like, I mean, you can, but okay, I guess.
The line clearly goes to either rock.
I mean, I get 2 hunkers for my trouble.
I'm gonna say yes.
3 expertise, so it gives me 2 crits. 3 crits and 1 hit. 3 crits so
Failed. 2 blocks to expertise.
That's giving me. We'll give you 1, 2, 3 crits and 4 hits.
Alright.
5
Score
damage
1.
plus a disarm.
Yep. You get an extra momentum.
1 point. That. And a momentum. Not crossing 0. Now making it so Mark needs either 3 points or 2 into wound. Luckily for Vuk, the priority token is on the back point that Mark doesn't have. However, he's just drawn Bo-Katan, who could definitely easily move over to that back point and score the 4. Gonna give a jump to Gar Saxon, coming injured from wounded. So doing a move action.
I will spend 2 force.
Spending 2 for the force jump, or the jetpack. Get her up to that point. Get her 4 points. And that's the game for Mark. Very well played on his part. I think he's been using the Mandalorians at the tournaments that I've seen him at, so he's very confident with what they can do and what their strengths are. And I think maybe a little bit of a learning match for Vuk there, clarifying some of the condition symbols. But I do also know that Anakin can be a little bit difficult to pilot, because trying to know when you could be getting that wound, when you should use his second attack with "I'm going to end this." Obi-Wan is solid, and he has Rex and Ahsoka Tano who are good secondaries, but the 501st are not great supports. However, he did roll very well with them in those attacks into Maul. Unfortunately, the timing of their activation was a little off there. There's definitely some order deck problems for him, starting with the Shatterpoint, which you kind of want to save for later, but he's got a tight force economy on that side of the board with the Republic. So right off the bat, starting 1 point down, and then on top of that, having Obi-Wan be the next pick, where he would really like to have somebody already in reserve when he gets picked, so that he can use patience and get that extra jump, a little more movement, and that's free if someone's already in reserve. You can just swap them in and then decide if the person who is already in reserve goes on the bottom or gets played instead. So that bit of order deck control was completely lost right from the start. So definitely a bad order deck on that side of the board. But hopefully you enjoyed that video, and there will be one more from this tournament, so keep a lookout for that.